I'd like to greet everybody that is watching right now. You are welcome. This is Feed Talk with Sindisiwe. I am excited. I am so excited because I am not alone once again. It's a beautiful day. It is a blessed day. It's an awesome day. I've got with me on studio today two lovely ladies that I'm not going to introduce as yet, but I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves. But I think what becomes critical again is why are we here? Why are we gathered here? The name of the show is called FIT, which stands for Freedom in Truth. So the only time that you can scream freedom, experience liberty, it is when you walk in truth. And that truth is not an external truth. It's not out there. You carry it everywhere you go. You are with it whether we are asleep. You are with it whether you are busy with your day. I've got something that's very interesting though today. And it's a very interesting topic that we're going to be speaking about. It's called I was raped. It's called I was violated. There's different categories of a journey when all of a sudden you find yourself that what you thought was very precious, what you thought was yours, gets invaded by somebody else. I like this because, not that I like the experience, but I think I like what we're talking about because many other people that are walking around with another human being besides themselves, who looks like themselves, but that somebody else is not themselves because there was a violation in their lives. I sit here not as a rape victim, but I sit here as somebody who was heavily violated. And I bless God that despite the depth of the violation, and I'm sure we're going to be delving into what really makes somebody to stand up against the violator, the violation, and somebody else that would just coil and keep quiet about it. But before I introduce and I allow the guests to speak, I've got statistics here. Because somebody sitting at home might be saying, why do they have to talk about this? You know, the people that sit at home and they are so negative about life, what is the show all about? The show is about, are you walking in freedom? Are you walking in truth? And I sit here with a journey that has allowed me to be, I'm going to say it as it is because I know that is who I am, a journey that has made me to be literally a walking lioness. You bring no human being in front of me and you thinking that that human being will terrorize me because I know that there is a higher power. I know that I'm guarded whether I'm asleep or I'm wide awake. So you could be asking yourself, why are we talking about violence? Why are we talking about being violated? Why are we talking about, in particular, being raped? There is very interesting statistics. During the period of 2019-2020, the country reported over 18,000 cases that took place within the context of sexual abuse and in instances where the victim, I would call it, they trusted that environment. So the topic we're talking about is not a topic that happens in places where we don't know. It's not a topic or it's not an experience where it happens only to certain individuals. It can happen to anybody. But I think it is worth noting that the perpetrator most of the time is somebody that we trust, is somebody that is not very far from us, So we are talking today about what it means to be invaded. But before I get carried away again, I've got on studio Leilani. Kuter.
Kuter, yes.
Kuter, yeah. Nice meeting you. Nice meeting you, and thank you very much for coming. I'm going to allow you to be the one that tells the viewer, who you are and why you are here, and maybe also just break the ice and tell them, why are we all in yellow?
Okay. Thank you, Cindy. I love being here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so my name is Leilani Kuter. I'm 46 years old, and I was brutally raped in 1992 on the 16th of September in a youth hostel in Pretoria. The person who raped me, I didn't know him. He called himself Frankie. I guess I was in the wrong place at the wrong time at that stage. And yeah, the day he was finished with me, after strangling me very bad, I was supposed to be dead, or maybe had brain damage because of all the blood.
My God.
And I made a decision to live. I made a decision.
God.
And I never really talked about it a lot. I kept quiet for many years. A lot of people who knew me knew something happened to me, but I was never so open about it.
Okay.
And last year, in 2019, I went back to the youth hostel where it happened.
Okay.
And I didn't tell my mother or my husband. That morning, I just drove in my car and I said to God, just be with me today. Because this is going to be, I don't know if I'm brave or stupid, but I need to face the truth.
Yeah.
I need to face this. And I went back to the first time in 27 years to the youth hostel. Now, obviously, it's very different now, things like that. But I just went in, I walked to room 252 where it happened.
God.
Yeah. And I stood in front of that door and I got closure that day.
Mighty God.
Yes, I really got closure. I stood in front of it. I spoke about it on social media. And when I left there, I really cried a lot. It was a I think all the emotions from all the years and the pain, I really cried a lot. But then I said to God, you know what, I'm going to do this. Wow. I'm going to do this. Wow. So last year, I decided to walk 27 kilometers per day for 27 days because it happened 27 years ago. Okay. I really wanted to make a statement.
Okay.
But it's amazing, Cindy, how life works, because I planned this in April last year, 2019, for September. Okay. Not knowing what's going to happen in South Africa 2019, already last year.
Okay.
When I started to talk about my walk and rape and gender-based violence, it was the topic in South Africa last year. And I said to so many people, you know what, I call it God's timing. Because in April when I planned it, I had no idea what is waiting for me in September. No idea.
Wow.
I had no idea God is going to use me like that.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for it because it helped me a lot. And then after my 27 days, I decided, you know what, this is my new journey.
Wow.
I realized then why I didn't die on the 16th of September 1920. I'm supposed to be here. I'm supposed to tell people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I loved it so much. I decided to create an NPC, a non-profit company called Yellow for Survivors. And the reason for my yellow is because this guy, Frankie, he had yellow on. And I said, you know what, I'm going to take control of my life with yellow. I'm going to embrace yellow.
Wow.
And this is something I want to encourage people. It takes time to get where I am. It really takes a lot of time. A lot of psychology, a lot of time, a lot of time speaking to God and to friends. And it takes a long time.
Yeah.
It took me 27 years.
Wow.
But this is why I'm wearing yellow. I mean, I even have this yellow ring on with Survivor on it. So I'm taking control of my life with yellow.
Wow.
So then, like I said, I really enjoyed it so much and I could see I'm making a difference and that feels wonderful.
Yeah.
So that is why this year, 2020, I'm going to walk 28 Ks per day because I'm celebrating 28 years this year.
Wow.
Some people ask me, why do you use the word celebrate? I don't even want to explain why. If you don't get it, I'm sorry, then you're not there yet. I'm celebrating my life.
Yes.
Of 28 years after nearly got, I nearly got killed. Exactly, I could have died. And And I could have also turned out very different. I could have made very different decisions, choices in my life.
Yeah.
You know, it could have turned out very differently for me.
Yep.
And yeah, so I'm walking 28 k's per day, starting on the 1st of September, which is in very, it's like in a week's time.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. And I'm walking for 16 days because it happened on the 16th.
Okay.
So the reason why I'm doing it like that, because of a logistics way, you can imagine it gets very tiring and, you know, being from home and organizing everything. So every year I will walk until I am not healthy anymore to do it.
Yeah.
I will walk every year for 16 days and I will always add another year. You know, that will be my kilometers.
Yeah.
And people ask me why walking? What I love about walking, Cindy, is that you put one step in front of the other one.
My God.
I look back a lot of times and I think to myself, it's over. It's in the past.
Yeah.
I can't fix it. I can't change it.
Yeah.
So I think walking is very healthy for you. You're feeling active, you're feeling alive, you're feeling it out there. And it's so powerful. Earlier this year, I walked 50 kilometers.
Sure.
For women who were raped, I call it a dedication walk.
Okay.
I walk for women and men who've been raped 50 years ago. Because I think they're much older now. And unfortunately, they're still shy to talk about it. And I wanted to, whoever listened to me, to say, listen, I'm doing this for you. Don't die with a broken heart.
Yeah.
Tell somebody please.
Yeah.
It's okay to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's okay. And there's so much power in healing.
Yeah.
It's incredible, that feeling of release, you know.
Yeah.
I said to you a little bit earlier when we were chatting, last year, 2019, on my t-shirt, I had yellow, sorry about that, rape survivor on it. This year, I want to be called an activist. Because I want to help other people to become survivors so they can enjoy their lives, to feel the joy that I'm getting. So it's so much power in it. And I'm very thankful for God for keeping me here. And to feel the purpose. You know, not a lot of people know why they're here. I know why I'm here. And I'm very privileged, if that's the correct word. But I'm blessed. I'm blessed to know why I'm here. And it feels fantastic to do that.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. that was a mouthful.
That was a long introduction, but hopefully people get it.
Yeah. I want to take you back just before we get to introducing Christina, who's going to be telling us how to get to where you are.
Yes.
What you've just said is very deep. I think it's deep in the sense that I never know when I have really healed and when I have not. When I have healed and when I have not healed. And the reason I say that is because I'm a very emotional person. Maybe in all the I'm fun, I'm great, I'm cool is a way of trying to manage the life that I have gone through. And that life that I've gone through, where I feel I was emotionally violated, it did not happen with people that I did not know, one. Number two, it did not happen with people that I did not love. So here is this unfaithful, whatever that day is. I think my question, Leilani, to you is, did you know Frankie? You know, were there any signals at all that, you know, he would love to have this with you? Because as women, we sense a lot. We know when a guy likes us, and we also know when it's beyond just the liking, it's possibly what they can get from us. So I want to know from you, was he a stranger? Did you see it coming, or that day just became a shock and you were completely overpowered by him?
You know, I'm 18. I don't look over my shoulder. You don't expect anything. I was quite very happy-go-lucky child, you know.
Especially on this day.
Yes, on this day. It's I remember it was such a beautiful day. I had a white denim short on. The reason why I mentioned the white denim short, because a lot of people, unfortunately, have asked me, do you think it was because of the short?
Yeah, the dress code.
The dress code, you know. But I do think he followed me. And I went back to my room, you know, and in those years, again, in 1992, it was before cell phones. So I had a thing on my door where, you know, as youngsters, you'll say you're in the kitchen or in the bathroom and the friends, you know, like it was your form of communication, this little board.
Yeah.
And he must have planned it because I was already in my room and I put on this thing, I'm in my room. So I was waiting for my friend, so he knows I'm in the room if I might be falling asleep.
Okay.
And then Frankie knocked on the door and he just said, he's looking for his sister who stays next to me because the grandmother died. Now, me, typical, I'm already sympathetic.
Already.
I'm so sorry, but I'm new, which were magic words to him.
Oh.
I'm new on this floor. So I'll just leave a message for her. That's all I said. And I left. I didn't think about what's going to happen. I didn't even think about anything. And then I left my door a little bit open because I'm waiting for my friend, Dewald, who must come now. You know, he's supposed to be here now. Okay. And then, you know, Cindy, these things happen so quickly.
Oh, gosh.
And in seconds, he was in my door. And then I got a fright. Because you must remember, it's small, a room like that is very small. You only have a basin, and, you know, there's not a place to run around or anything like that. And then I really, it's just an Afrikaans, ek het geskrik, you know, I really got a fright. And then I realized, no, there's nonsense here. And I want to share this just with you because of the channel you are running in, okay? I was screaming, I was fighting him, I pulled off his yellow t-shirt, he was strangling me. And then at one stage I realized, okay, that's not going to help. This is not, because I've got quite a feisty personality. I'm a survivor okay, of nature. And then I thought, okay, because I saw on his hand, he's got a saw, and I started to talk to him about God.
Wow.
I said to him, take everything. Don't you think God, and obviously my conversation is in Afrikaans, so I said to him, don't you think God is going to punish you? You know, let's talk about it. Well, let's even pray about it. Because I'm trying to win time when Dewald must come now. Yeah. But what Frankie did in that meantime, he put the marker, I'm not in a room. So he planned it from the outside, you see? And obviously a lot of things happened in the room. And one thing about a rapist, and this is my view, it's not about sex, it's about control. Yeah. The moment he saw I had control of the situation, he flipped out. He made me do things which I don't like to talk about. My God. At one stage, I was thinking of jumping out of the window, you know, but then I really would have get killed because it's quite high. There was a knife in my cupboard. I thought about that. And then, he just strangled me, and he strangled me so bad that I was unconscious. He raped me very badly. There was blood and everything. And then, can you believe he even had the audacity to take a belt from my cupboard and strangle me even more? You know, like as if he hasn't done enough. Oh, God. He really, really wanted to make sure he's done with me and I'm not alive, okay? And then he actually stole everything from my room. You know, like he's done shopping. He had got sex, he got his thing, he got shopping, and he just left. And eventually I woke up with a belt around my neck. And I was one of those lucky people who had really like split seconds with angels to ask, Leilani, do you want to live or do you want to die? And I decided I want to live. And I put on my clothing. You know, you're obviously very dear mekaar, you know, so you don't know what's happening. And then the people started, because it's a youth hostel, people come home about 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. People started to come home. And luckily a friend of mine was there and we went to the police station, which I'm so grateful for, that I made a case and, you know, all the evidence is there. And then, they took my away. You know, and people, I'm not a materialistic person, but it was a big deal for me. You know, somebody's coming in and they take so much more. You know, it's a simple thing, the stupid device, speaking Afrikaans, the device said, but he took my dignity, he nearly took my life, he took everything I've worked for. Just for what? For what? But you know, I'm not bitter. I'm sitting here today. I've got a beautiful life today. I'm actually shaking now. I've got a beautiful life today, and I've made peace with it. I've really made peace with it. If I ever walk into Frankie,
I recognize him.
You'll never forget a person like that, Cindy. I will never ever forget his face, his smell. No, you don't forget things like that. It's one of those things. But I want to sit with him, and I just got one question for him. What happened in your life that you can decide to take my life? So I just want to pray for him, actually. I'm not angry. I'm not bitter, because I'm the one who's alive today. I'm the one who's got so many people who loves me and accept me for who I am. There were I've tried to commit suicide twice. I've had very bad memories, like nightmares and things like that. It's something that stays with you, Cindy, for the rest of your life. I can even say today I'm fine, but you'll never be 100%.
Oh, gosh.
But it's really... So that is my story.
I like the statement that you made when you said, if you were to meet him, you would ask him how his life is. Because in as much as it becomes very painful for the survivor, I think there is a whole mess that is right in Frankie and the multiplied Frankies out there.
Yes, there are a lot of them.
Yeah. And I think for me, this is where it becomes, critical, Christina, to say, we hide behind I don't want to say that I hide, because deep down in my heart, I know that the level of violation was so sophisticated. I think it's one thing to deal with Frankie and he goes, but I think it is another when you would take a bullet for the violator. So my tears are never from a point of view that says, I have not healed. I know I have. But I think it's the whole thing of saying, when do I know that these tears are tears of because I'm being grateful that I'm alive, versus the tears of somebody that has not even healed. I mean, for me, when Leilani said, you can never forget a person like that, then I'm thinking, at what point do we then really just shut the chapter? Because at some point, this chapter has got to be shut. And while you're going to be introducing yourself, I'll continue wiping and possibly blowing my nose. But I just want to know, from a psychologist point of view, what do you think is the profile of the Frankies? What do you think goes on in their heads?
Okay, so I'm Christina Seimenis. I'm a clinical psychology student at SMU. I'm completing my studies this year, my second year of master's, and I'll be moving on to internship next year. So, this topic of trauma is very relevant because so many people have traumas that we all, in a sense, we're all walking around with a trauma.
Yeah.
And you say you don't know if your tears are, have I healed or have I not? But I think what's important to remember is that you can heal from something, but it can still hurt sometimes.
Okay.
And the way I can explain it is like if you have a gunshot wound and the hospital, you patch it up and it's perfect and you recover, and they say, you go through this whole process and it's ups and downs. Some days I feel good, some days I don't. Some days it hurts more than other days. But in 10 years, if something happens and something brushes on that gunshot wound, it can still hurt. It doesn't mean it didn't heal.
Okay.
But it can still hurt. It's still vulnerable. It's still a part of you. And when we talk about trauma and trauma recovery in psychological processes, we would talk about coming to the end point of integrating the trauma into your life. So it's a process. It's really a huge process. And I would say...
You come to the point of integration. Can you talk that? Integration?
Yes. So before integration, the process is, I'm recovering, I feel down. I'm recovering, I feel... So recovery is not just...
linear.
It's not.
Okay.
It's, sometimes you'll come back. You'll feel like you're regressing even.
Okay.
It's a painful, very long, sometimes slow process that you need to engage with the mental health professional.
Okay.
And they would help you to get to the process of what we would call integration.
Okay.
That's where you can integrate what happened to you as part of your life.
Okay.
And you can say, this happened to me. It was an extraordinary, terrible thing, but it's part of me. It's not my whole story, but it's part of my story. So unfortunately or fortunately, in someone like Leilani's case, it's part of your story that you can choose to use as you would like. We still, at the end of the day, have free will. We still are empowered as people, no matter the trauma that we've been through. There is empowerment, and every single person, no matter what you've been through, it's something you can get through. There's mental health professionals, there's medical professionals, there's counselors, trauma counselors at police stations across the country. And if you think that you're not coping with your trauma, that's something that you can give to yourself, is to look at it and say, how can I address this? How can I get to the state where I'm like Leilani and I can say, yes, I'm talking about this and I'm shaking now because it's still a trauma, but at the same time, I'm able to talk about it. So many people can't talk about their trauma because of the shame, the fear, the guilt. They feel silenced into not being able to even think that it happened to them.
Wow, thank you for that.
Yeah, and that embarrassment is a huge problem, unfortunately. So many people feel embarrassed, and they mustn't. It's not your fault.
It's not their fault.
They mustn't feel embarrassed. I understand it, but it's so sad for me that women and men who've been through these kind of things, that I feel embarrassed.
To talk about.
It makes my heart break, really, because it feels to me that you're not surrounding yourself with the right people then. Because who are you surrounding with yourself that's going to make you feel embarrassed? Because you mustn't be embarrassed.
But you said something very fundamental. You said you started facing the journey in 27 years. After 27 years it happened.
Yes.
The question that I think I have for you is, what is it that drove you to that point one? At what point did you speak about what you had gone through?
Last year, 2019, April, when I left the youth hostel, that's the day I decided I'm going to be fully open about everything. Not call it, because I couldn't say rape for many years. I used to refer it as the incident. Yes, I couldn't say things. I had a lot of issues with things, And then I decided also, and I also told my mother for the first time exactly what happened, step by step.
Only last year?
Yes. And that was quite a breakthrough for me, because I will touch on it, but I never said exactly step for step what happened in that, let's say, 1.5 hours, and that was very, very good for me to say exactly what happened. To call it as it is.
As it is. Wow.
In my 2 years of now talking about, I've never ever experienced this, what I'm experiencing now.
Wow.
I mean it. Wow. I'm thinking, I wonder if he is listening. Because I want him to hear me.
He has to hear you. He has to hear you. I have a question still for you, Leilani. And the question is one that says, when did you ever get to a point where you navigated from being a victim to being a survivor? And right now I heard you saying that you are now an activist. while you're talking 2019, which is literally just last year.
Yes.
Which in my head, I'm suspecting that there is a lot of years that were stolen by Frankie in your life. During that time, before you could speak to your mom, how did you navigate to the point that you were able to speak to your mother? Because I think many are caught up. I mean, you said something very fundamental. You said you never used to call this thing rape. It was just an incident. Up until it's an incident that is not effective, and yet you cannot actually say it's not effective because it's daily with you. How did you transition from this thing being an incident to telling your mom the details up to going to that very place where it happened and you faced?
I think it all happened because I've started to love myself.
Okay.
And be okay with myself and have peace with me as a person.
Okay.
I've always been a very positive person of nature,
Okay.
Since I was a little girl, I've always been the positive one.
Yeah.
So that's also why people hear this about me, they're very shocked. Because I always tell me, and this makes me a bit angry sometimes, but I'm not getting angry at it more.
Okay.
People will tell me, you, no, it can't happen to you. Then I think, but how am I supposed to look?
Yeah, for it.
How am I supposed to look? To be from a poor area, to be Afrikaans, to be a businesswoman, to be a rape survivor. How am I supposed to look? Why can't I just be myself? See me for who I am.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Stop putting that labels on people.
Yeah.
And see them for who they are and enjoy them for who they are.
Yeah.
So I think since I've really made peace with that, because I've always been also in very verbal abusive relationships with men. Always.
Okay.
And I've made, like I said to you earlier, very wrong decisions. But the moment I started to realize, this actually happened after my divorce, 2010. My second marriage. I realized, it's okay to love yourself. You're a nice person.
You're lovely.
You're walking with this pain, but you know what? Deal with it.
Deal with it.
Tell the world about it. Tell everybody exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Why shy away from the truth?
Yeah.
Why not telling it? So since I've started to do that, and my mother started to live with us 3 years ago, and I'm the eldest child, and we've had that typical, and I'm not saying everyone, because not everyone is like that in our case, because I was only 18 when she had me, we didn't always have the best relationship.
Okay.
And this is also God's work again, because she couldn't go and live anywhere else, she had to come and live with me.
Okay.
And we're so close today.
Wow.
And she obviously did really cry a lot when I told her, but that even hurt me, because a mother doesn't want to hear this.
Yeah.
It broke her really, when she actually knew exactly what happened. But it felt like a relief that I told her. She was the one person I needed to tell exactly. And if she was okay with it, if she was to say, Leilani, like a mother is an amazing person. It was like she gave me my wings to go and tell the rest of the people everywhere. I had to tick her off first.
My God.
Do you know what I mean? And then also, I think it's very important if you're going into a relationship or in a marriage, especially if it's a serious relationship, not just any fling, is to tell your partner about your history.
Yeah.
So they know when you're not watching certain movies or reacting to a certain word. Maybe they want to be, in my case, let's say somebody play with me and they come close to my neck. I'm still today. Don't touch my neck.
Don't touch. Yeah.
Still today.
Yeah, sure.
So then that person will understand you better.
Yeah.
So be open about the trauma in your life. I'm sure you agree with me. Well, I hope so. but this is my opinion, because I'm very glad I told my second husband about everything. It just, he knew exactly what he's leading himself into, and I felt I'm being open.
Yeah.
Do you know?
You were already freeing yourself.
I was freeing myself, yeah. And it didn't change anything for us. He's been supportive since day one. We don't bring it up. If I want to talk about it, he's listening. And with my walk as well, I got so many amazing support last year, Cindy. It's funny how people are, no? I got only nonsense from 2 ladies who said to me, but what about my husband? How does he feel about it? Then another lady said to me, why do I think walking will do anything, will change anything? But you'll always get those people. And I just said to the lady who referred to my husband, I said to her, you know what, my marriage is very strong.
Yeah.
Don't for one moment think I didn't think about my husband when I planned this walk.
Yeah.
But he knows I'm putting myself first as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
We mustn't always sacrifice everything for our partners. You know, we're born alone, we die alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You must keep your individuality as a person, not just as a woman, as a person. And I feel very strong about that. And me as a person, I come with the marks on my body. That's part of me. And he loves me for that, for who I am, I
think that was very deep. And this is where many, many, many people are caught at. They are thinking that if I tell him, he's not going to marry me. So let me rather just talk about all else. And you are exposing, again, an innocent person who comes to your life, wanting to give himself everything to you. But you don't tell him how many their scars are on that body. And this person stays with you, not knowing what he ought to do to cater for all your changing moods, because you have a whole life that's hidden somewhere. And I think for me, that is the most. I think if you were to ask me, that is the most thing that is, what a pity. Because I'm going to be speaking later on the topic of the spiritual implications of the silence. That it is more, it takes more than what was taken that day.
Yes.
It takes more. Christina, if I am in the state, not where Leilani has gotten to, I'm imagining she was 18. To others, this thing happens when they are 7-year-olds. And Frankie strangled with a belt. At least, I'm not saying better, but you're talking about an 18-year-old. Here is a 10-year-old. Here is a baby who cannot even fight. From a psychological point of view, does this experience register itself for what it is?
I think to a certain extent it registers on a deeper level, because remember, when you're younger you're still developing. So your personality is developing, your individual self is developing, how you see the world is developing, your how you relate with other people is developing. And now you violate it in this way, it changes the way you will then develop, the way you see the world. You can grow up, you see the world differently. You experience relationships, romantic attachments, even social relationships differently. You have this scar. It's like if I'm at this age and I get a cut, that's the extent of what the cut will look like. If I'm younger and I get the same cut, maybe it will just carry on growing and growing as I grow, as my body grows. So a lot of children, trauma is, we say it's something that happens in your life that exceeds your coping mechanisms. So children, their coping mechanisms are very few, especially you can imagine a vulnerable child. They rely on their parents for coping. So oftentimes they can't integrate this trauma. So they'll suppress it, or they'll keep it to one side of their mind, or it will become part of them in a very negative way where they see everything as a threat. They see the world as a threat. So it really is such a damaging thing for a vulnerable child, for anyone to experience trauma, but for children it's really
worse. I wish I could talk to men whose mind and being are completely screwed up. There is no better way. That mind, that entire being is so screwed up that the victim can be any age. Not only do they go for young kids, they go for the women, they even go for grannies, older women. How I wish I could say to you, stop. Because a child at that level, possibly they don't even know that when uncle touches me here, uncle is wanting more than, it's a whole journey. And I think what you said to Christina is very deep, because the younger the child is, the deeper the scar. Because it's almost like we are messing up with the map, the mind, the framework of what this person ought to be. And we sit here and we say, why are you not talking? Why are you not talking? But we actually don't even know just how deep it has gone and how much it has messed up a whole life. And yet, there is a life. Because she could have died. So I think for me, we are possibly talking about balancing the when to speak. And I think we're saying, no matter how young you are, there are places where uncle cannot touch you, There are places where I cannot be invited by a stepdad. A stepdad cannot invite you to his bedroom when your mom is not there. Because the truth of the matter is, the perpetrator is on a suit as we speak. They drive nice cars. They are respected. Some of them even have their own families. They even have wives. But because some loose screws somewhere happened with them as well, it just becomes a continuation and a continuation. A sad topic, South Africans, a very sad reality. 2020 alone, 2020, you're looking at that number, sexual offenses that were discovered by police, you're talking over close to 8,000. Though that was 2019. 2019 again, sexual offenses that were reported, we are talking over 54,000. And in 2020, this is 2020, we are only just in August of 2020, which means we still have a couple of months. But within the time of March and just within the time of 2020 where we are already sitting at a figure that is higher than last year. We are talking over 53,000. 53,000 lives that are meant to be mommies tomorrow, that are meant to cuddle a baby, and yet their lives are already messed up. I'm gonna get to us wrapping this up, but I can't do that. I can tell you that I feel a lot of energy from Leilani, which is very great. If you were to advise somebody that has been violated, understanding the depth of the matter, what is it that you would say they must do? Where must they go?
I've just got one thing to say, is to please get help.
Yeah.
Really. Do not go and see somebody. It is so vital. Don't take 27 or 28 years.
Yeah.
You deserve a happy life.
Yeah.
Please start talking to somebody, even if it's just a close friend. But get this out of your heart, and so for me, it's getting help. There are amazing companies out there. I mean, that is why I'm walking. Mm-hmm. I'm raising funds for rape crisis organizations.
Okay.
I raise funds for them so people can go there for counseling or rape kits or, these bags for little girls. Mm-hmm. So that's actually what I'm doing. I'm raising funds for these organizations. But my one message is just, please get help.
Yeah.
Please, I'm begging you.
Yeah.
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 Don't wait.
Don't wait.
Don't wait. Please don't wait.
Get help. Christina, there is help. There are helplines there. You get to 800. There's many of them, but there's another level of help. How do they get to that part? Because I want to imagine that part would require financial assistance from psychologists. What can we do?
Well, luckily we're graced with a healthcare system in this country where people have access to psychological services at certain clinics. There's social workers at least. At certain clinics they have psychologists. At certain hospitals especially, they have psychology departments, psychiatry departments where you can get help. So if you feel that this is an issue that's affecting your life at a deeper level where you're unable to sleep or you feel irritable or withdrawn, you feel angry, you're having flashbacks, nightmares, things like this, where you feel that your day-to-day functioning is not as it should be, then I would definitely say go to your nearest clinic, get a referral to see a psychologist. And you could phone somewhere like South African Depression and Anxiety Group, SADAG, and they can refer you to a clinic in your area. You can even go to certain police stations have trauma counselors or social workers. You know, there's a lot of help available. You just have to look for it and just reach out and just take that first step for yourself.
Yeah, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Christina. I just want to add on that point that it's in as much as it is there, and I'm glad that we are having these institutions. I remember I went to one of them last year, and in these forms, the question that I was asked was, so did he touch you? Where is the scar? And I said to them, does it have to be a damage first before you can listen to my case? So I think while we thank you for what you've just said, I just want to echo this, that if you have been privileged in life, where we have never been in a traumatic experience, where you don't know whether you're going to see the next day, never mishandle the people that will walk through that door. Just those government forms that were written, I took them, by the way. I took them because I realized that there was no way in which I was going to sit here the whole afternoon and complete these forms. And as I was at home completing the forms say, somewhere it states that what weapon was he carrying, where did he use the weapon? And I'm thinking to myself, when you run for help because you still can run for help. Why do I need to be hurt before I can run for help? So by me saying this, I am saying to those organizations, to those counselors, whether it's police, wherever you are to deal with human beings that come crying through the door, never take their crying for granted. And never belittle that crying because you don't know how deep it has gone. And without being negative as well, while you may laugh, while you may belittle their experience, you never know what could happen to you tomorrow. You know, we speak of COVID, for an example. COVID never knew color. COVID never knew gender. COVID never knew where you stay. You are staying in...
Class, yeah.
It just never knew. And in the same manner that this... but the president of this country literally said, women abuse in this country has fallen to a category of a pandemic, which means it is bad. We are appealing to parents. If you are a mother, do not leave your kids with uncle whoever, because it's their very people that we know that can jump lines. We are appealing to our brothers. We need you. You are meant to actually protect. But when we're not going to feel safe in your presence, then there is a problem. I am even tempted to say that if you yourself feel that each time you are around a woman that there is some lines that are crossing, you are beginning to imagine things, please go look for help. Because it means that when you keep on fantasizing, that fantasy very sooner or later, you may want to see it come into materiality. So as we are gone, as we leave this place, how I wish I could give human beings a new heart, a heart of love, a heart of forgiveness. I think Leilani sits here typically representing forgiveness that beats the mind. Because I will tell you that outside forgiveness, Christina mentioned, outside that integration and nailing it for what it is, you can never get to forgiving. And when you can't get to that forgiving part and forgiving that somebody and saying, I actually did not do anything wrong, I did not wear the shorts to allow somebody to take advantage of me. You know, when you can get to that point of being able to speak about it, that's the point where you can be able to say, I do want to meet Frankie. In fact, I want Frankie to hear me as I speak now. That is if Frankie is still alive, by the way. We hope that Frankie is still alive so that he may even be given an opportunity to come back to you and say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think what was key that Leilani spoke about, if you're a single woman and you have gone through this journey, don't think that your life will be better by hiding the truth to that potential husband. Because I will tell you now, without a shadow of doubt, that marriage is not going to last. Because you are a bag, and that whole bag, at some particular point, we need to take out one item of whatever that incident actually created in your life. So we are pleading both to the men, and we're pleading to our sisters as well. There is one life, there is one you. Call yourself whatever, but there is what we call a survivor. And I can tell you without a shadow that sitting right in front of you now as just serious survivors, you can choose to be a survivor or you can choose to be a victim. We hope that you will choose the first one, being a survivor and not a victim, because only then will you be able to take charge and want to deal and be willing, painful as it may be, but you would be willing to journey back and be able to close the chapter. Hope to see you in the next show. And please don't miss it, because we have spoken about, Leilani has covered the fact that she was part of it. And Christina has covered the psychological part of it. I'm going to be covering the spiritual part of it, how deep it goes. Christina made an example that if you cut a 10-year-old by the thigh, it's not the same as when you cut a 50-year-old. I'm more fierce, I'm more ready to fight back, you know. But at whatever the age, there is a whole spiritual journey that becomes a part of your life that you don't deserve to be, you know, a carrier and to constantly experience that journey. It can actually be attended to exactly as Leilani attended to it. So I'm hoping that I will see you in the next show, the spiritual implications of sexual abuse and other forms of violation. Just before we go, we would like you to be of help to us. We would like you to be of help to Leilani's organization, Yellow for Survivors. In terms of website, that would be your www, all the W's, Yellow for, as in FOR, survivors.co.za. Whatever amount of money you can give towards this organization. It will no longer be about her replacing that duvet cover that was messed up that day, but it will be for her to extend that money so that someone that needs counseling, that does not have the cash, that they can be able to access the help that they need. So we are appealing. We're appealing to you, men. We're appealing to you, blessed sisters of ours. It may not have happened to you, but more so if it has happened. You never know, that seed you may plant may just be that seed which will trigger the healing that Leilani is walking in today, and will be very appreciative. So thank you very much.